Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Randall George Lazal with the Bounce Back Wine Guy, and welcome to New Enlightened Lifestyle Medicine. Oh, pleased to meet our co-host, Patrick.
Hi.
Hello, Patrick. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Today's segment is entitled Conscious Consumer, Take Back Your Power. So what's this about? Well, I'll ask you this. Are you powerful? Are you free? Do you do exactly what you want to do? Well, I'm kind of guessing that you're not, because I speculate that you're holed up in your home, waiting for that word to say you can go outside and breathe and go shopping or do what you want. Okay. So what this segment is about is the power of your dollar and where you spend it. And the other part is the power of your time and talent and what you do with it. So here's what I mean. Now, let's start with some stats here. In a recent study, 91% of the people surveyed said that they would be very willing to change brands or companies of where they buy things, because more people are becoming environmentally conscious, and that they want to make sure that their dollars are spent on not only quality goods, but also to help heal our environment. Okay, so that's 91%. 48% in the survey said that they would pay higher prices to help heal our environment and to gain control of more over what services and products are out there and the quality of those services and products. 93% surveyed, surveyed meaning of the top 250 companies in our world, what they've done is that they've mandated in their mission statement of being more environmentally friendly, okay, decreasing pollution, okay, and increasing customer service, meaning to give the customer what they want. So things have changed, and I would say that it's because of this COVID-19 that's going on. And if you don't know by now, it is a ruse. It's fake. It's a contrived, made-up crisis. Okay, but it's got the desired results. And then we're going to talk more about this. But what I would say to all of you is that take back your power, because where you spend your dollars, companies will have to bend. And if you're thinking of, and more people are, environment healing, okay, healthier foods that don't have any chemicals in them, okay, products and services that are environmentally friendly, and where people can use them safely. Okay, and that's where that is. So you've got the power with your dollar, and that can change a lot of things, especially companies up there. And I would say up to that top 1%, the empire, the cabal, the Illuminati, the people that control our governments. They're going to have to take notice too. You know why? Because they control the money and food supply. You can start doing something about that now with your dollars. Remember, 99% greater than the 1%. So where you spend your money counts. So when you say you're looking at companies that have products and services that protect the environment, heal the environment, have healthier outcomes for you and your family, okay, they're going to take notice. And the other part too is, when I say the second part to this is where you spend your time and talent, okay, take a step back and ask yourself what you believe and why you believe it, and where'd you get these beliefs. Were they from your parents, from the media, There's a lot of stuff out there from the news, from your friends, from your neighbors. Why do you believe what you believe? Okay, and does it serve you still? You have to think about that. Does it serve you? Because often what you believe becomes your identity and who you think you are. What this COVID-19 has done is that's thrown that all out the window. Because you know why? Is I see this as a massive opportunity for all of us. Massive opportunity. Because we can start making our own rules instead of being imprisoned in rules that don't serve us. Okay? And I'm not saying lawless. I'm saying you lead with love, you lead with kindness, you lead with empathy, you lead with compassion, and you're a thinker. So it's inclusive. So you undergo personal development with you and your family, and you offer inclusion with everyone else, your neighbors, people that you don't know overseas. You get directly involved in what happens in your community and in our government. Okay, so that's activism. You got to get off your butt and you got to participate. But for this show, you have power because right now you don't have any because you're huddled at home in fear. And by the way, this is not a deadly virus. It's never been proven, never. So you have to quit calling it that and contrive crises, yes, but because this is what you believe. So this is what you're doing with your time and talent. You're at home, stuck at home, because you're scared. Scared to die or scared to get sick. Have you ever checked to see if that was even true? You listen to the news, you listen to the social medias, you listen to Bill Gates, and you get scared. That's why you're here. So it's time to get unscared, take back your power, be a conscious consumer, live free, be powerful, be courageous, learn, okay? Listen to the different experts. And I believe we are one of those experts on this show, especially with my co-host, Patrick Herbert. Boy, what a researcher and journalist this guy is. Got to look at his stuff, read his blog, okay, and get totally updated because that's what he does. Okay, so this is honest, unbiased news, and I think worth your time. But anyway, the purpose of this segment is to get back your power because we need it. Our economy, nationally and internationally, is in the crapper, okay? And we can do something about this. We need to take back our power and live the life that we would most love to live. Okay, Patrick,
Yes.
why don't you take it away and add a whole bunch of your stuff to it.
For that very complimentary introduction there. I'm no more amazing than any other truth seeker out there that's engaged in trying to figure out, what's going on in this world. Okay, so you made some really good points. One of the ones I really want to dive into is one of the things that I know personally from the fact that I do enjoy cooking. I spend a lot of time in the grocery store. Okay, so one of the things I've noticed over time, especially on my own personal journey towards eating healthier and eating organic, is that I'm noticing a lot more mainstream brands going organic. I've seen, most notably what I found to be the most interesting would be some of the chip brands like Doritos. They have an organic version of that. Some Cheetos has an organic version now. I can't remember off the top of my head which brand, but also beer now. Michelob has an organic beer now, which I had told you about the other day because I tried it out and it's not bad. Only 85 calories, 2.5 carbs or something like that, 3% alcohol, so relatively low. Delightful, nice little, guilt-free beer because it's not over the top in alcohol and it doesn't have ingredients in it that will kill you, which is great. So one of the reasons why I believe a lot of this is happening with a lot of these corporations is for the reasons that you say. survival economics. It's a very simple thing, because where we put our time, interest, and money is where our energy goes. Where what David Icke says is where attention goes, energy flows, and that's very true, and that's in everything that you do, including economics and the way you spend your money. And other people will be aware of this. A lot of other companies, as more health oriented information starts coming across all the various platforms out there. And this is one of the benefits to social media, as we always say, there's two sides to everything. There's a plus and a minus. Social media gives the consumer a lot of chances to share information with each other and put it out there in a very public way. Anybody that's out there can post an entry about, some toxic brand that they discovered uses this ingredient, and you know what? The company behind that brand will more than likely begin to see their revenues drop because of this social media influence. And they'll have to take a long, hard look at that. And also the people on the inside. As people become more aware, and awareness is literally key to everything. People become more aware, they begin to invest their time, energy, and money into more healthy and more realistically sustainable eating habits, for the most part. And that's what we hope. And these brands slowly start to turn over. So that is definitely one very realistic avenue where I've seen that applied. Intelligently spending our money, investing our time and interest and finances into things that serve us and serve humanity, and they alone, it changes the shape of things. Like you had said, Dr. Reno, those companies will eventually start to adapt to these new practices. Now, the problem that I see is the access of information. For people being able to get that information, not everybody is involved. And for the most part, when you've got top-down control of these sites, here's the minus side, of course. When you have top-down control of these sites, like Facebook, this and that, you start to be able to control the narrative like we see all over the place. I woke up this morning and was looking at David Icke's site, only to discover that he had been deplatformed from Facebook. So that's one way in which they could silence this. Now, that's David Icke is a very, very successful, very well-known and conspiracy. I wouldn't say conspiracy theorist. Let's say truther, very, very incredible researcher and writer, and journalist, and book author and speaker, and he influences a lot of people. I learned a lot from David Icke, including what Monsanto has been doing to the world. He covers all aspects, every aspect, from the what we call the sea of toxicity. He covers everything from the destruction of crops, the taking over of small farms, the industrialization of agriculture, and the mass producing of food that is only enabled through these genetically modified seeds, coupled with their herbicides and pesticides and things, which are completely killing us all. So with him out there and putting this information out there and raising awareness to these things, those are what shapes people's consumer choices. Not necessarily David Icke, but people like him and people like us. So, and of course, they're the machine or the system, the cabal, the people behind the international corporations, and all of that are actively silencing people and are deplatforming people that go against the narrative. We've seen this very much with the COVID-19 stuff. Never seen so many doctors silenced in my life before than what has been recently happening on YouTube. Remarkable that they will silence a doctor who has, at least, credentials, either doctors or researchers or emergency room doctors who have come out, nurse practitioners, this and that. But they won't silence a journalist who has been researching this on the mainstream media, who's got, because he's going along with the correct narrative. Whereas the doctors are they're putting a wrench in these plans over here when it comes to this fake pandemic. So, yeah, conscious consumerism. Let me get back on focus here. And pollution is a big one, because what we've discussed about in other shows too is that it's not so much your neighbor who's out there ruining, the seas and dumping their trash all over the place, all over the ocean, and it's these companies that for the most part, and these companies that mass produce these things. Like, I mean, I had read somewhere that Coke bottles are the number one form of pollution on the planet, right? But now it turns such a profit for the Coca-Cola company that why would they need to change? Or any of those third parties that actually do the bottling. Very easy for them to mass produce. You get it from China for pennies, hundreds of bottles. Those bottles are then, put on an assembly line filled with Coke and shipped out there by unfathomable amounts. Now everybody, we buy those, and the same thing for these water bottle companies. That's the big one. That one is a real troublesome one for me, because you're putting a resource like water into a plastic bottle. That water is literally ingested for, in a couple minutes time, and that plastic bottle lasts 6,000 years. The majority of these bottles being actually recycled is very minimum, no matter what's printed all over the packaging and over the labels. And then you end up with these pictures of coastlines that are covered in debris in these bottles and plastics and this and that, and what's another thing we're going to see a flood of after this fake pandemic runs its course? You're going to see face masks floating everywhere, floating in the seas, because those won't be handled, appropriately. And please, Dr. Randall, chime in anytime here. We could do a back and forth on this. I see that, but people go, it's the convenience. It's so easy. And that's the same, let me say, that's the same disingenuous or an uncreative approach to life that causes people to eat McDonald's because it's easy, and then that McDonald's has a terrible effect on their health, which causes more trouble for them in the long run for that 5 minutes of ease for that one meal. You know what I mean? And they, and that's where they're putting their money. That's where they're putting their time. They're focused. Oh my gosh, we're sold on this. I could throw the kids in the car, drive over, get a whole bunch of Happy Meals, easy, through the drive-through. They're fed. Everybody's happy, but the long-term consequences are terrible. And not only that, but the money going into McDonald's, they don't have any reason to change any of their, their business habits. Consider that McDonald's would probably, if enough fuss was raised about their ingredients, and in the past it has been, and they have made some changes, but if they conducted any type of or if any independent study was conducted in regards to what it means to eat McDonald's and how it affects your health, McDonald's, with their massive amounts of money, will seize on that investigation and make sure that they steer it to the right conclusions, which are the conclusions that are, beneficial to McDonald's. So it is it isn't until people wisen up to that to when they'll stop spending their money at McDonald's. I don't mean to use McDonald's in a singular sense here, because what I'm saying can be applied to pretty much any of these companies.
Yeah.
So it's, and then the one thing that when it comes to money and finance is, what we discussed in episode 3 is the bankers and their control of the currency here, the Federal Reserve and its control of the currency, and them just creating money by typing it into, as numbers entered into a computer screen or a digital ledger, and then you having to pay that back with your labor plus interest. But not to get, go besides the point over here. There is things that we can do. We can influence the direction of these international companies. We can starve them out, but that on the individual level, the one thing we need to do too, to get to that point eventually to where we make a difference, is we have to get information out there to raise awareness on these subjects so that people can make smart, educated decisions. And we work, you and I are working as best as we can to put out, information like this, and I hope that, other people will share it, pass it on, talk about what we say, and maybe start a little grassroots movement here based on our information. Not that we're the only ones, but we are a part, and we have our audience, and our audience can reach out to other people and spread the word, and we can effect change. We really can. And that's basically all I have to say on that part right there, I mean, we can really, if we work hard on it, and it's not even that hard. It's just about sharing information. It's just about raising awareness. You're going to be less inclined to spend your money on substances that are going to kill you if you knew that they were killing you. I mean, it's pretty simple. So, I don't know. What do you think?
No, it's wonderful. No, no, thank you for all the information. And no, why I entitled the show this way? Because like I was telling you, and what I've learned from you and Bob Charles, who owns Pyramid One, where my radio show is that you don't know what you don't know. And so, and then when you read the mainstream media, they will support the current narrative. Of the people, the shadow government that's behind the government, and who controls the narrative. Basically grooms us to believe in things that aren't real, or to believe what they want us to believe. Okay, and that's brainwashing.
Mind control and brainwashing.
And what you believe becomes part of you, part of your identity. And that's why I said in the beginning, kind of take a step back and question why you believe what you believe, and why you have certain likes and dislikes, and why. Okay, because you've got this split, got down the middle. Maybe it's not a total 50-50 split, but people that just get all their information from Fox News and love it, and some that get their information from MSNBC. And there's some kind of truth in there, but it's all been distorted. And now we're picking sides, just like politics. You're a Democrat or Republican or not. And so there's constant infighting, and there's constant separation, constant chaos, constant confusion. And if you're the top of all this, that top 1% that we were talking about, you're pretty happy, because now everyone's confused and doing the infighting. And they're sitting back and just making tons and tons of money off of us. But my contention is, where you decide to spend your dollars, at least going up this chain of companies that are, very large and very wealthy, you make them take a step back themselves and go, wow, they know that they know about us. And so what they have to do is, many of them, like I said, 93% of the top 250 companies in our world had to make changes to their mission statements, because they know that we know, and they're gonna more people are taking their dollars elsewhere, because we want to heal our environment. We want to eat healthy foods that don't have killer herbicides and insecticides on them that's caused cancer, that helps with autism, that helps with MS, that helps with diabetes, that causes all these inflammatory diseases. People are learning more and more, but just like you said, the access to correct information is difficult, because for the regular folk out there is that, okay, how do I know what I'm reading is really accurate? A show like ours, Lifestyle Medicine, my show on Pyramid One, Be the Change, anything from David Icke, anything from Tom Montauk, Brian Rose, okay, Alex Jones, Ty and Charlene Bollinger did this great documentary on vaccines. The people at Revealed Films, Dr. Patrick Gentempo, a lot of good information out there. And up to you to do more research, because what's happening, like you're saying, Patrick, is that you have folks like Facebook and Google that are just so into the censorship, and basically both of them have accepted multi-millions of dollars from drug companies. So they're technically shills for drug companies, and of course they want to get paid all that money. They will censor out relevant information and put in fake stuff. But see, what we do is we try to expose all those things so you can make better decisions for your families. Now, why I made this a kind of a two-parter, or in this one session, two parts, is that where you spend your money is one thing. The other is that You have to question your belief system, why you believe what you believe, because in our Western world, it's fast-paced, high stress, convenience. If you can drive up to a window and buy your food and drive off on your way for a certain dollar amount, you're happy because you don't have to get out, and you can feed the whole family. And it's poisonous foods, and I'm talking mainly about McDonald's, but it's poisonous food. And repeated over time, GMOs, genetically modified organisms, right, or genetic engineered, is that your body cannot digest it. And what does this do when it enters your body? It changes your own DNA. So this opens you up to all the inflammatory diseases like cancer, diabetes, MS, lupus, and all of those kind of stuff. And then you go see your doctor and he will give you a pill for your ill and you still remain sick. Okay. But what's happening now is more and more people, because of this COVID thing going on, that they're getting disgruntled, that they're getting impatient, because they're running out of money. They can't go to work. And right now there's this thing called social distancing. The kind of a 6 feet thing or even more. I don't know where that came from, but human beings aren't meant to be a social distancing thing, and a lot of protocol and just government oversight, especially from China, has melted over into this country here, and over there they got the social credits, right? And in our country here in the United States, there are certain rules that are put out, and what happens is that you're going to have neighbors tattling on you that you didn't follow the rules. Okay, and because of false information, once you believe in false information, that becomes what drives you, and that becomes part of your subconscious beliefs. So it's important that you check yourself of what you believe and why you believe it, and if it's even true. And the other part is where you spend your money, because right now you're stuck at home and your bank account is going lower and lower and lower, and you're waiting for that magic word. You can go outside. You can go outside and you can actually breathe. You can actually breathe. Or if you walk outside, you might even be able to hold hands with your wife. Okay, but stay 6 feet apart initially. And so what is that? That's brainwashing. That sounds, I haven't been to World War II, haven't been there, but that sounds like Nazi Germany stuff, okay, where you're enslaved. You do this, and I'm going to kill you anyway, but you do this because you're a slave. Okay. And what we're trying to do with all of our segments here is to unenslave you, to give you power, give your power back. Because this is the time to change the rules, to get active, to say no, no more. I have my own life, okay? And to live with truth, to live with harmony, to live with abundance, to live with empathy. And you can change a lot of that because we are the 99%. We can change the rules. We can make our own rules. We can use unconditional love as the foundation of everything of what we do. Why that's important is because when you look at the foods we have out there and the basic big pharma, biotech runs the food supply. Okay? And what's in all our foods? Poisons. Glyphosate, dicampa, the neonicotinoids. All the things that we can't digest, all the things that cause illness in us are sprayed on those foods and also sprayed on the weeds. And now we have what's out there, what's called super weeds and super bugs, because they've gotten used to all those poisons. So what do farmers do? The large commercial farmers, they buy more of this stuff and they spray 2, 3, 4 more times to kill what's there. And where does all that poisons go? Onto the food, inside the food, kills all the nutrients in the soils, And all of that poisonous produce is rushed to your supermarket shelves. Okay, and that's what you eat, and you kind of wonder why everyone's getting sick. Why the autism rate now is 1 in 32 kids. In the 1970s, it was 1 in 15,000, 1 in 20,000. Okay, why diabetes is so high? Why more people are getting heart attacks and strokes? Why more people are getting cancers? And just can't figure it out, right? Because we have more toxins in our body. Because we were taught that convenience is most important, speed is most important, and nobody checks on anything. We're been lulled to sleep to believe that our government is going to take care of us, and poisoning our foods, that no one would ever do that. But that's not the right thing to do. Well, money trumps all, and meaning too that your belief system has been swayed. You've been brainwashed, and so you're believing that everything's okay and this is the way it goes. And then what I'll challenge you with now, look at yourself. You're huddled at home, scared, stuck at home. And if you've got a business, then that's probably going downhill, or if you've already lost it, and you're allowing your freedom to be placed in somebody else's hands. And what we want to do is to put it back into your hands. So for you to be a conscious consumer, the other is that to take your power back, okay, in what you buy and what you believe, okay, and so when you talking about McDonald's, as far as the largest factory farms for beef out there is McDonald's owned. That's what they have. And so what goes into those burgers, okay, is the Monsanto glyphosate. And what are these cattle fed? And they never see the light of day. They're always covered, so they get to stand around in their own poop and pee. And then they eat corn and soy that's been sprayed with glyphosate, a poison, and plus given antibiotics, which not only speeds their growth but also kills bacteria. And guess what? That's in the meat, and that gets put in all those juicy burgers that you drive up to get at the drive-up window. And so delicious when you take it down and you eat, and you never know what's in it, and you can understand why you're all getting sick. Okay. And so what we're doing here is to educate, inspire, and empower you to take your power back. Okay, so, and this is what this segment is for, and that's why I introduce those names to you, to go look them up. And then they're easy, and because these are big name folks, and they, like us, we're very vocal. We care about all of you out there, and to be free, you have to get accurate information, and you got to fight for your freedom. And this is pretty simple. You got to fight for your freedom. Okay. The best way to do that, because we are the 99%, is where you spend your money. Where you spend your money, where you spend your time, where you spend your talent, and what do you believe in, and are those beliefs accurate? Are you getting the correct information? Okay, and so that's why in this segment here, and then with all the information you've got from Patrick, you get to make better decisions. Because to be free, we have to get more information, and we got to fight for it. There's no other way. We have to fight for it. Because look what's happened to our national economy and our international economy. It's in tatters. But see, two sides to the same thing, two sides of the same coin, two sides of the same law. What is awful and horrible and terrible is also a massive opportunity. We can make our own rules now. We can create. We can imagine. We can make a better world here. We can stop all this pollution. We can take back control, because we are brainwashed, and we are run by that top 1% of that corporate empire that's out there. But there's more of us, and we spend money, and those folks will have to bend. That they will not change. Then they're still going to be in power, okay? But they'll have to change their ways, and we will help them do that. because from what we do, because there's so much of us, is that they'll have to bend, their procedures and policies because they will know now that we know, and then we have the power if we all unite. Okay. So there's my deal.
Okay. That was great. I did have a couple of things I wrote down real quick that I wanted to bring up while you were talking. What you're saying also true about when it comes to these meat processors and these giant Tyson like meat processing company, all these other ones, and all this big farming, I guess we could call it, big agriculture, big farming, big. Now there is a silver lining to everything. There's if the food supply is disrupted here, well, there what food supply isn't. And who exists out there to pick up the slack? Your local farms and your local farmers.
Thank you.
These guys pride themselves on growing wholesome, good foods. And one that springs to mind is someone we want to bring on the show from Yonder Farms.
Yep.
And Yonder with a Y, Yonder, Yonder. Yeah. Is it Yondar? Y-O-N.
Yeah, well, I think it's Yonder. Yeah.
Yonder, Yonder. Y-O-N-D-E-R. Yonder Farms. And they, Dr. Randall had a phone call with them the other day, and we want to bring them on the show. Family owned, first generation. They know all about what's going on in the meat industry. They know all about the glyphosate and all of that stuff. They know all about it being, because these these big massive food companies that produce a lot of meat that on the cattle ranches and stuff, they feed them genetically modified crop basically, the cheapest that they can get, and that of course gets into the meat, and that gets into your system as you eat it. But your local farmers are aware of these kind of things, and they they raise their animal and they feed them good food, knowing this, and research, look into them, but they're really there, and they're there all around. And no matter where you live, there's local farms everywhere, and supporting them is really important. And I think there's going to be a boost in that coming about from after here, especially when the food supply is disrupted like this. Another thing I'd like to point out is watch out for the deception. There's an incredible amount of deception all over. There's food deception. There's deception in everything. Consider McDonald's. McDonald's, I always point this out. I've pointed this out in my articles before. McDonald's has a clown, big smiling, happy clown that's selling you toxic food. They have something called a Happy Meal, which is not very happy after you've had a bunch of them. You're not going to be very happy. So, okay, and then there was another point I wanted to make, which I find very interesting, is how there are elements of what I call the cabal, frontmen for the cabal. Yep. And these are people like Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos. Well, guess who's making tons of money right now? Is with us all being at home is Amazon and Jeff Bezos making. Somewhere I read it was close to within the past couple of months. I don't know. It was a lot more, than normal around this time of year, and that infrastructure was already put in place. Very convenient for that nowadays. That you could just sit down and order anything from Amazon. But I found that to be really, really interesting. The sad thing about that is, of course, it's just like with big agriculture, which, and it makes an impact on your local farms when it comes to Amazon taking over everything and people not wanting to leave their house and then being conditioned and then forced to stay home. All of the people going out of business right now are all the mom and pop stores on Main Street, and nobody's helping them. Nobody. All of this money going to Amazon, all these billions of dollars and all of that, and it's purposeful. Because especially when it comes to these stimulus checks and these plans that are coming around, you get the person who's responsible for paying this back, the tax dollar, gets their stimulus check, which is nothing. And then the international companies or at least the local companies, the big ones, get the bailouts. And the banks are always bailed out. Even though they create money from nothing, they get bailed out. And then the taxpayer gets stiffed with the bill for all of this. So really consider... everybody who's listening right now, really consider that aspect of things right now, because the elimination of Main Street and the elimination of mom and pop and the elimination of local farms, that's on the radar. That's a part of the agenda that's unfolding right now. And a lot of that is tied to Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030 and what will ultimately become the one world government and the one world currency, which will, be a digital currency so that they have total control over your lives. And China is the blueprint. That is the reason why we are seeing a lot of the techniques and tactics that are unfolding in China or have been there for a long time, including these social scores. What is the official term? What are they called, Dr. Randall?
Social credits.
Social credit, the social credit system that they have there. And then, we have big tech who has been involved in working with China to implement these things. It's all, from your digital masters. I promised myself that I wasn't going to say all the time, so I'm going to try to say that a lot less now. So now that we have China with the blueprint, the totalitarian blueprint, and it's being rolled out here, while at the same time they paint China as being some sort of adversary, but this wouldn't be called a global conspiracy if it wasn't a global conspiracy. So we would call it a local conspiracy. But all of these power players behind all of these companies or countries that can, and they are the governments are essentially companies. All the power players behind that, and everybody that's out there in the shadow government, and on the deepest levels that not even these world leaders are aware of. Like, there's a lot that the president isn't even lit on what's going on. Why should he be? He's a guy that comes around and then he's in the door for 4 years and then he's out and then he's gone. So there are levels of secrecy that go on that he's unaware of too, and it's all run by the cabal. And I was actually reading a recent book by David Icke, and he dives into that a little. And one of the things that I like to remind myself of is that because these presidents are essentially just doormen for the building that's called the corporate government, and they're expendable. They come and go, and if they really step out of line, they get their heads blown open. While in Dallas, like John F. Kennedy. So this is a complex situation, and it is all tied together. And it is, at the end of the day, going to be about us, the 99%, because the cabal, the international criminal cartel, these people are small in comparison to us. And they're all old. So they're a bunch of old rich guys who definitely need a police state between them and us, because if ever we all wake up to what's going on, that's 7 billion of us, and a handful of people. So now you know why we have programs like the 1033 program, which transfers military surplus to your local police departments. If you've ever wondered why your local policeman now drives up to your house in an APC with a grenade launcher on it, that's why. And of course, they don't want you to have the ability to defend yourself when this is happening, so they will do everything in their power right now to take away your guns. And a lot of people don't realize that a lot of these shootings. There was an excellent book about the CIA called "Behold a Pale Horse," and it talked about how the CIA instigates and knows about, but doesn't ever seek to prevent mass shootings, because it is very convenient for the gun control narrative whenever this happens. And as is normally the case, right before these mass shootings happen, and I encourage everybody to look into this, there's always a drill that's held weeks before in the same area. You could look it up. It's out there. Just like there was Event 201, a drill for a pandemic, just like there was a drill in New York City weeks before the terrorist attacks of 9/11. Same thing, same scenario, same situation, same game that they're playing. And if we're going to be stopping what's coming, we all just need to really become aware of these things. And as Dr. Randall and I always encourage everybody to do is, don't believe us, look it up, look into it, question everything that we say. Because when you do question this stuff and you do invest your time and interest looking into it, you're going to be surprised. You're going to be shocked at what you discover, and you're going to see there's a rabbit hole and it goes very deep. And that's, what I've committed the rest of my life to bringing awareness of, is that rabbit hole. And I'm just now going about doing it and learning how to do it and trying to increase my audience. And Dr. Randall and I have teamed up to deliver this message. I mean, we're out there in the most genuine of ways doing this, because knowing what I know and having researched what I have for years, my heart goes out to the people out there, because I see them now. We've been weaponized against each other, and people will dodge out of your way because they believe you're literally some disease-ridden carrier who sneeze or cough or breath will give them a terminal illness that'll kill them. And where do they get this narrative? This narrative was spoon-fed to them through the mainstream media, which controls the narrative and shapes your worldview, which is just an article that I just read, or just wrote, pardon me. So anyways, we're at 47. Dr. Randall and I had decided we're going to try to keep these a little bit shorter and not go, because we end up talking for a long time.
Yeah.
We get very emotionally invested in the things that we're talking about. So we end up, as we both will say, we end up tending to ramble a little, but we hope that it is useful information. And I would just personally like to thank our supporters, and also I'd like to thank the people who have been tuning in and watching us. I'd really like to give a big shout out and a big thank you to Cloudbreak Creative, our partners in this endeavor.
Great.
And we're really looking forward to the future, and we're really hoping to bring you as much useful information as we possibly can. And if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to Dr. Randall's channel, where I upload all of these videos, and please keep tuning in. We'll keep bringing you guys good information. We'll keep working hard. We'll keep researching. We'll keep telling you. It's pretty cut and dry with us. We're not fancy. We sit here in our home offices and we talk to each other and we record it, and then we put it out there for you guys to digest and to make your own decisions. We don't want to think for you. We're just telling you what we know, and we're encouraging everybody to look into it even more. So that's all that I have for me, and definitely appreciate your time, Dr. Randall, today, and appreciate everybody else's time. And if you'd like to close out, or if you think we're good, you just I'll give it back to you.
No, that's great. I guess I will say a few words here. Everyone here, there's about 7.8 billion of us on Earth now. And my question to you is, one, do you want to live? And do you want to live with freedom? Okay. And it is a critical point here now that we have to fight for it. And so I would say, get out there. And if you want to live, then do it. And it's one of those things where, like I said, we're at a critical juncture in our world of what's going to happen. If you want to be free, you've got to believe it, and you've got to go fight for it. And we're right here with you, doing the fight, because I would like my family to have a wonderful future, and with my co-host Patrick and his family and his very young daughter, I want to live the kind of life that they would most love to live. But I think we have to unite, work together, learn, and we can make our rules. And if it's love-based, we can't go wrong. We just can't go wrong. All right, so it's everyone. Well, let's go fight for our freedom. Let's go live it. Tell your neighbors, okay? Seek out the healthiest of foods. Find out who's the farmers around in your area. Go support them, okay? Spend your dollars where it does the most good. And please look everything up, products and services, okay? And get what's best for your families, and think about our bigger picture and where you want our world to go. Thanks so much. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.